Hey, we got the Jaguars spending some money. Shaquill Griffin going from Seattle to Jacksonville on a deal worth $40 million. Could be up to $45 million in incentives. A 3-year deal for the cornerback who had been playing in Seattle. He is a Florida native, played his college ball for UCF, a St. Petersburg native. And this is a guy who had a career-high 3 interceptions this past season. It was a Pro Bowler the season before. And he is headed to Jacksonville, the team with the most money to spend in free agency, a team that's been real quiet to start, but still some time and still some names out there, and Jacksonville getting one of them. Let's bring Pete Prisco in here. Pete covered the Jaguars for many years, used to live in Jacksonville. He's got his finger on the pulse of the Jags. Pete, we talked to you a little bit earlier in the day today, and you said Jacksonville fans had to be disappointed with how things have gone. How much does this help?
Oh, it helps a great deal. I mean, this is a solid cover corner. He's not, a great player yet, but he's only 25 years old. I think there's real chance to grow there. And he's a physical player who can lock up and play man coverage. And at times he, didn't always play the ball the way he should. He had a tendency to play the man, which kind of led to flags now and then. But I think as he's getting a little older, he's become a much better player and a much better corner. And when you look at what they had at the cornerback position, they had C.J. Henderson. He's coming off of labrum surgery. Their first-round pick from a year ago. Didn't play all that much last year. They had Trey Herndon, who's probably more of a journeyman or a slot corner. Sidney Jones, who they re-signed, played well, but he was picked up off the scrap heap. So they needed a corner, and I think this is a good move to go get a physical corner who can play some man coverage.
What did you think of what the Jaguars gave him? A deal that's it's $29 million guaranteed, but a deal that could be worth up to $45.
Yeah, and again, you got to look at the structure of the deal and the details when the contract's actually filed with the league. A lot of the times, these deals are given out by the agent, and they aren't close to being what the agent says they are, because they want to, prop up their client and prop up their business. So right now, if that's the deal, that's a fair deal for Shaq Griffin. I think he's that kind of player, and he's a young player. That's one thing you got to look at in these free agent markets is who's an ascending player? Who is a guy who's 25, 26, 27 years old who is improving and getting better, because that's where you're going to get the value. The value doesn't come with the older descending player. It comes with the younger ascending player, and I think that's what you're getting here with Shaq Griffin.
His twin brother, Shaquem Griffin, restricted free agent with Seattle, has not yet been tendered. He's played his whole career with his twin brother at UCF and with Seattle. So the Jaguars make somewhat of a splash here. What more do you want them to do in free agency?
Well, I was disappointed they didn't get one of the 2 top tight ends, either Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith. That was a mistake on their part, I thought. And the reason being, people say, well, they're not going to be that good when, Trevor Lawrence is getting good and being a contender as a team. And I don't buy that. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be good from the get-go. And those guys are 25 and 26 years old. So they made a mistake there. They need to get more speed, whether it's, at wide receiver or a running back, a third down back out of the backfield. Maybe Curtis Samuel, if they could add him as a dual threat possibility. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they need help at every level, and particularly on the defensive line. Roy Robertson-Harris, good signing, good young player, another one who's on the list who's growing as a player, but they need help at a bunch of levels, and so adding another defensive lineman or 2 would really help their defense.
Yeah, you mentioned the couple of tight ends that the Patriots were able to agree to terms with, Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. Why wasn't Jacksonville able to come to the table with anything for either one of those guys?
Well, I think they were in the market. I just, at times in Jacksonville over the years, you've had to overpay a little bit. I mean, you look at it and people see New England, even though they weren't close to being the team they were a year ago. You see New England, you see Bill Belichick, and you want to go play there. When you look at Jacksonville over the last decade, you've looked at maybe 1 or 2 good years, and there's been a lot of losing. You have a new coach, you have a new general manager there in Trent Baalke, even though he worked in the league. These guys are kind of getting their feel feel of what's going to happen as it relates to Jacksonville. So there could be some of that. I talked to a guy in the league yesterday who said, look, I think maybe they're kind of feeling their way a little bit. It's not a real easy process for them because a lot of those guys haven't been in it the last couple of years, particularly Balky. He's been kind of in the background. They brought him in to back up Dave Caldwell, and now he's the guy kind of doing the talking with the agents. And so I think that's a little bit of the problem. But again, no state income tax. Urban Meyer's the coach. They have an owner who's willing to spend. They're going to build a new facility, and they have a ton of draft capital and money to burn. Why wouldn't you want to go play there?
No state income tax. That's what we get to enjoy down here in Florida, right, Pete? Thank you so much. Pete Prisco joining us here on HQ. He's going to be back with us at 4 o'clock Eastern time for our football happy hour today. Free agency coverage continuing through Wednesday. And then Thursday, we'll have a special NFL free agency fantasy football today edition, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.